Hi everybody, it's Julia from Mathis and Travel coming to you this week from San Francisco, but it's such a gorgeous day that I had to get outside and talk to you. And I had actually decided to talk to you a little bit about how to deal with things that go wrong when you're traveling. When unfortunately the news came out about Brussels, and that's obviously another horrible tragedy, but it shouldn't keep you from traveling. And terrorism is not something that you really should even be worrying about when you're traveling, because even though it does happen more and more often, it's so rare, and the chances of you being in the place where a terrorist attack happens is really, really slim. Obviously, if something does happen where you are, you want to hang tight, you want to talk to the embassy, let them know where you are, and definitely register before your trip in the STEP program, which I'll link to below. But no, this is what I'm talking about this week is the normal stuff, the everyday things that go wrong that you really can't do anything about, and that you need to be prepared to deal with. And there are small little things that you can do that I've done to help sort of avoid the inconveniences that can happen when you're traveling. Obviously, one of the biggest things that happens when traveling, and really you have no control over, is when your flight is delayed. Obviously, if this is just a direct flight where you're going, not a big deal, just an inconvenience. If you've got a transfer booked, you will have given them your flight information so they know that you're running late and they're waiting for you. Where there's something that you can do about a delay is when you've got a connecting flight. I remember I was in Amsterdam and my flight to Philly or New York was delayed before my connecting flight to Charlotte, I think, at the time. And we were all sitting there waiting to board, and then, it wasn't happening, and they weren't really telling us anything, and I just knew it was going to be a longish delay. And the second they said, okay, we're officially delayed, and I knew I was going to miss my connection or it was going to be really tight, I called the airline. I called them directly right then and there, and they were able to reroute me. And now, sometimes with delayed flights, they are a little, especially up at the desk, they're a little cheeky, I guess you could say, about, admitting that they're going to be late, admitting that you're going to miss your connection. But at the other time, if they do finally admit that you are going to be really delayed, they are super thrilled to go ahead and get you booked and rerouted and get you out of their hair, basically, because they're going to be dealing with a plane full of people with all different issues. So that's one of the things, is you want to go ahead and get on the horn to your airline immediately. You can also call your travel agent, but if you're abroad, time difference issues may come into play. So, either get in touch with your travel agent if you're on the same time zone, or go ahead and call the airline yourself. The second thing that happens also with flying, unfortunately, is when they lose your bags. Now, obviously the best way to avoid that is to never check your bag, to always carry on, but that's not always realistic. I know that I personally have a problem. I'm not a great light packer. I think I've said that before. And so I've had my bags lost a time or two, and of course, there are some other, I've traveled with people who've lost bags. And there are a couple different things to think about with this. So first thing is you want to have in your carry-on at least a change of underwear and, some toiletries, but, as much as, a whole change of outfit, a whole new set of clothes and everything. That can definitely keep you tided over for a day or so, because normally what happens is your luggage misses the one plane, it'll be on the next plane. But occasionally they do lose it, or there's a strike or something, and your bags are gone for several days. And so you have no choice. You have to purchase clothes to, keep going. And luckily what is great is that if, the baggage, delayed baggage always has a per diem amount for you to spend, and that they will reimburse you, that you can claim. Or if you have travel insurance, they also have delayed baggage coverage, so that you can claim the expenses for that clothing that you purchase, and so you can get reimbursed. So that's good to know, and you probably want to look into either your travel insurance coverage, or when you fill out the lost baggage form, talk to the baggage agent there, or look it up online and find out what that per diem is, just so you don't exceed it. Now, the third thing that happens a lot when you're traveling normally is, either you get lost, you're a couple of minutes late for a pickup or an excursion or something like that, or you're getting picked up to go to the airport or to go to an excursion, and they're running a little bit late. Or maybe you're waiting in the wrong place. And this is another reason. The best way to avoid this is to go ahead and call the office of the company that's providing the transfer or the excursion. And this is why you really want to have some phone connectivity. And that's a previous tip that I've talked about, is the best way to have that phone connectivity. But however it is, even if it's just the hotel phone where you're staying, you want to go ahead and call immediately the number that's either on the voucher that you're given for your excursion or your transfer, or look it up online, call the office if it's in the office hours, and say, hey, the driver's not here. Am I waiting in the right place? Is he running late? Is he stuck in traffic? Something like that. Or like, hey, I'm coming to meet you. I'm on my way. I just jumped on the wrong train, and so I have to switch over, and so I'm 5 or 10 minutes late. And really, just getting in contact with the office immediately really helps even out any of those logistical issues, because you don't want to miss, obviously, your transfer to the airport. That would be a disaster. And you definitely don't want to miss the excursion that you had planned for the day, because it just puts a whole damper on your plans. So definitely have phone connectivity. Pack a little extra in your carry-on so that if your bags are delayed, then you've got coverage. And jump on the phone to the airline as soon as you've got a delay. And those will ease a lot of the problems that happen when you're traveling with things that you can control. So that's it for this week. I'll talk to you next week.